Well, 12 Days of Reviews is now back after like 2 years. 2023 was the last year I did it. Now officially back doing it, which, you know, interesting. But we got 12 new stuff to talk about, so let's kick off with the first day, which is Elf. So originally I was going to do this one like way before, like actually I think 2 years ago. But I hadn't seen it in a while, so I was like, all right, well, to be fair, let's bank on this one so I rewatch it and, see how I think of it after that. Well, that was last year, and I was originally going to do it last year, but then, crap got in the way. So now I'm doing it this year. So now Elf. This is going to, if you love this movie, you're probably going to hate this. Just pointing it out. But if you don't know Elf, movie is about Will Ferrell, he's a kid, but he was raised as an elf at the North Pole. And he goes to New York City to meet his biological father, who is played by James Caan. And just stuff happens. Stuff happens. That's all I'll say. So, this was actually, I didn't realize this movie was done by Jon Favreau until way later. Like the movie of his that I grew up watching was Zathura. And then it was like, oh wait, he did this one? I know he's in it, but it was like, oh, he did this one? Oh, okay. So first thing off the bat that I will say positive about this is production design is really, really cool. Especially around like North Pole parts where, it looks very like jolly and cheerful and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, I like the way this looks. The animation they do, because it does feel like, take the stop motion stuff that they use in this, they kind of, in the North Pole parts, it really looks like it was all like kind of green screen and maybe a little bit of a set, but then they put like animation filters or something resembling that over it. And I was like, all right, that's really impressive. That's really cool. I think that's really cool. So, it's kind of like a twofer. The production design and animation I thought was really well done, especially towards the North Pole parts. And also the cast in this is really impressive. I mean, yeah, you have Will Ferrell, but you also have James Caan, Bob Newhart, Ed Asner, Zoe Deschanel, Peter Dinklage. Like, you got like a big cast in this. So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. And the fact that Favreau did this, who wasn't known for Zathura because that came out a couple years later, but he was known for like stuff like Swingers and working with Vince Vaughn a bit. And so doing this was like all right, this is interesting. Now, here's where the negatives are going to come in. Do I think this film is, oh my God, it's the best Christmas movie ever, to the point where TNT or AMC has to air it for 24 hours a day? No, I do not. This, and a lot of it has to do with, it's just not my kind of humor. Is Will Ferrell, I find funny. It's really weird. When it comes to like comedians, I find their comedy funny, but then when they start doing movies, it's like, this isn't very good. Like with Will Ferrell, there's a couple of movies of his that I do like, stuff like Anchorman, and especially like the stuff he did with Chris McKay before they kind of went their separate ways. But it's Will Ferrell's always, his kind of humor, I've always found it to be that very awkward, yelling, screaming type of humor. And he does this a lot in this. And I understand, he was raised as an elf, and he's still kind of like that kid at heart. But there's times where I'm like, even if, even when you're an adult, there's got to be those moments where it's like, all right, I got to stop doing this. But he doesn't, and it's just kind of annoying for me. I know a lot of people love this movie, and I'm not one of them. But also some of that, I think, is due to the fact that I think this one is really overrated. People are saying like, oh, this is like one of the best Christmas movies. Christmas Story is one of the best Christmas movies. And it's like, is it? Is it? Because I have a couple of other ones that I'm like, I'd rather watch those. Like, to be honest, I'd rather watch stuff like Die Hard or The Ref, or if it's something kiddie, I'd rather watch like the Charlie Brown Christmas Special. I'd rather watch Nightmare Before Christmas. So it's like, so I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, it's just not my kind of humor. And so that also comes down to, the comedy. It's not my humor. So it's kind of a twofer in this one where, Will Ferrell, he is playing that like kind of character where he's like, I get it. He's like a kid at heart, but at the same time, it's like you kind of, some of this, I'm like, please dial it back. And part of it is also, I liked all the stuff with the North Pole stuff more. It's around the time when he gets to New York City that I just started losing interest. And also, I think this is one of the first movies where it started saying, hey, okay, we don't know what to do with this, so let's take him to New York. But with this one, it actually makes sense. He's looking for his father. Where with all these other movies, if it's most of it, it's already an existing property, like Smurfs or not Scooby-Doo, sorry. Tom and Jerry, they just say, oh, screw it, just throw them in New York because we don't care. I do feel like they care on this one. There is enough care there. Like I said, I liked the North Pole stuff in the very beginning of the movie. And I think around like the third act where it was starting to become, all right, let's bring, the Christmas spirit together. I think those were the really two like big points. It was really the middle part where around he gets to New York City, and then before the end, it was like, that's where it's really dipping for me. So personally, I think this is okay. I don't love it. I don't hate it. But this isn't one where I'm like, we need to rewatch that one this year. And it's like, no, to me, it's like I saw it. I don't need to see this again. And, like I said, a lot of it, I think, comes down to the humor, where it's not my kind of humor. Will Ferrell's kind of screaming and yelling a lot. And I understand, like, he's supposed to be a kid at heart, but it's still kind of annoying. But, from the production design to the animation stuff that they used to the cast they assembled, that's a lot of it in there that saved it for me. Because this could have been easily something where it's like, all right, this is just a fine. I don't really care. But with those things together, and like I said, like I would say the first act and the third act, I liked a lot more than the second act. That saved it. So personally, this is just an average for me. It's not like, oh my God, this is the best Christmas movie ever, to the point where, they put it on TV for 24 hours. That's actually how I got sick and tired of Christmas Story, was because they just ran it over and over and over again. And I'm like, okay, it's not that this is a great movie. It's a good movie, but now you're just making this unbearable. And while I don't feel that same way towards this, it is kind of getting on that like over exaggeration, and I do think it is a bit overrated. But that's just me. But I don't think this is bad. I don't. And it is fun, but it's something I'm not going to rush out and rewatch it every Christmas. So sorry.